What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tap In with Jared Barnes. Today, I got a special guest, my brother. We'll bring him in. We'll get this thing started. What's going on,
Hey, what's
JT?
up, guys? Nothing much. Thanks for having me on. Should be exciting. Ready to go over some sports, mainly football.
Yeah. So, for those that don't know, obviously, JT is my brother, and JT is a massive college football fan. So, today, we're going to talk a little bit about the draft and about some college football stuff. So, JT, I got a question for you.
What's
Who
up?
is the best wide receiver on your draft board?
I mean, this is obviously bias. It's not going to be a difficult answer. It's Jameson Williams. Even with his injury, him coming into this class, he's a fighter, going from Ohio State to Alabama, getting that top roster spot, putting up amazing numbers, just like the past wide receivers that you've seen in the last many years, ever since Amari Cooper at Alabama. Definitely one of the top guys, I think, who has a shot of just doing something great in the NFL.
Yeah, understand that completely. He's not the top receiver on my board. I actually have him at number 3. My number 1 and 2 are 2 Ohio State products that would have been on the same roster as him. My number 1 is Chris Olave, just because he is such a fantastic route runner, and he's fast, but not as fast as his former teammate, Garrett Wilson. So Chris Olave, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in this draft. Don't be shocked to see all 3 of those guys, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jameson Williams, to go in the top 15 in this upcoming draft. But there's desperate teams in this draft, teams that need quarterbacks. And Kenny Pickett has said that he believes he will be the first quarterback off the board in this upcoming draft. Where do you see Kenny Pickett getting drafted?
I don't know where exactly, because I know quarterback is a need, man, but I just don't see. I mean, congratulations, have that confidence all you want. I don't know about all that. I definitely have. I probably have 2 guys over him. One guy off injury, and that's Matt Corral. Obviously, he got injured back. I think that was Senior Bowl time, maybe practice. I can't remember exactly.
He got injured in his Sugar Bowl bowl game. He might have tore his ACL. I'm not 100% sure. He's an amazing quarterback, but where do you think Pickett gets drafted? Not like who's above him, but where do you think he's going to get drafted personally? Where do you think he fits best?
You might not see it happen, but I definitely he's a guy that's you're not going to see him run the ball much. Yes, he'll do it in college,
But he's athletic.
If he has to tuck it and run, he will. This is kind of an out there, kind of like a Josh Allen almost with his big body size, but definitely not the throwing aspect of Josh Allen, not the deep arm. I'd like to see him get a Pittsburgh if he does go anywhere. That's later in the draft, though. I also like the fit that he could have with the Lions,
I think he would be a
but
really good player to play for the Lions. I have him going to the Carolina Panthers at 6. It's really high, but again, he's my top quarterback. Matt Rule, who coached at Temple when Kenny Pickett was coming into college, actually recruited Kenny Pickett, who was coming out of New Jersey. So I think right there is a good fit. Carolina's desperate to find a franchise guy, and I think they'll take their shot to see if Kenny Pickett can be a franchise guy and let him compete with Sam Darnold this upcoming season. Now, some more draft prospects that might come across as overconfident to you. Sauce Gardner said that he's the best player in this draft. Where do you expect him to go? And is he the best player in this draft?
I'll answer that second question first. Yes, he's the best player in this draft. I don't think there's any doubt about it. The numbers you put up in college, yes, they're not against all, top star talent, but that guy, he was the number one corner for Cincinnati going up against the number one wide receiver most of the time. Half the time they tried to line him up against the number two if they try to play strategically, just because I wouldn't want my guys not scoring a touchdown. That's just me.
Understandable.
Amazing, amazing corner. Watched him against Alabama, played amazing against them. And when you're at the top level like that, I mean, what do you expect? You got to expect at least to give up one or two here and there, and he didn't.
Do you expect him to go inside the top 10 in this upcoming
Absolutely.
draft?
Absolutely.
I
Top
do as
five,
well.
even.
Top 5? Do you think top 5?
I could definitely see it happen for sure. But the thing is, you just got to find the right fit, and the teams, they know what they're looking for in a player.
Yes.
But when they see a guy like that, how can you pass him up? It's like the top quarterback on the offensive side. He's just the top guy on the defensive.
Yeah. I have him as a top 5 guy in this draft, like prospect ranking wise. I don't have him at my number 1 spot. I'd give that to Aiden Hutchinson, but he is my top corner, and it's not really that close because he is a guy that can put you on an island and take away your best receiver. And I think he'll be able to. I think it'll translate, and he'll be able to do that at the NFL level. I expect him to be within the next coming years a name that's talked about as the top corner in the league. It wouldn't shock me at all. But this offseason in college football, there's been quite a few transfers. Quite a few. A lot of quarterback movement. A lot of other players that have transferred. A lot of Oklahoma players up and left and went to USC and followed Lincoln Riley. But out of all the players that transferred, who do you expect to have the biggest impact on their new program?
I mean, that's a tough question. But when it comes down to it, I think of two guys. One guy's name I don't even remember because I don't think he could have a big impact on his program, but let's be honest, he's not gonna change their program. I definitely got Spencer Rattler up there. Yes, he had some struggles at Oklahoma, but now in the SEC with a new team, definitely able to turn the tide on his college career. You're gonna have to help me out with a name. It slipped my mind right now. Ohio State transfer to Texas quarterback
Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers. Watched highlights on him, high school. Definitely
Awesome.
amazing athlete. Great ball player. Definitely could make a big change in Texas, but I think Texas is stuck in a way right now that they won't dig themselves out of.
Yeah, my first and obvious is Caleb Williams, who transferred from Oklahoma to USC and followed Lincoln Riley there. And it's not just Caleb Williams. I'd also throw in there wide receiver Mario Williams, who also transferred to USC as well. I expect those two to continue to develop chemistry and help put USC back on the map, if not help them get into the college football playoffs and have a college football playoff berth. Quinn Ewers is interesting because he's a Texas kid, originally went to Ohio State, bypassed his final year of high school to do so, and just to get $1 million because the way the NIL worked in Texas, he wasn't going to be able to get that if he committed to Texas. I feel like it was his plan all along to go to Texas. He just wanted to get a quick bag went to Ohio State, learned a bit of offense from them, moved back to Texas, and now he's back. I expect Quinn Ewers, the guy you brought up, to do absolutely phenomenal work, along with an Alabama transfer, Jahal Billingsley. He's a tight end, super athletic, could be pretty sneaky. Reminds me, he has athleticism that's under Kyle Pitts, but always has reminded me of Kyle Pitts and was misused at Alabama. And I'm excited to see how he's properly used in Texas under his former coach, Steve Sarkisian.
Definitely frustrating for me. This past year, watching us not use him as we should. He was definitely a big Mac Jones guy when Mac Jones was there. They had a great connection, but that was Mac Jones with every receiver that we had. It's frustrating to see them not use him as he needed, but I hope him all the best going to Texas. That's definitely going to be a good fit. Hopefully they can toss the ball around with him. He's not only just a tight end; he can block, he can run routes. He's basically a wide receiver that can block.
Yes, and that's a very vital thing to have, especially if you're looking to possibly move into the SEC here at some point. You want to have a wide receiver / tight end, a pass catcher that a quarterback can throw to help build your program. Because with Quinn and Jahal Billingsley, I think they can win some games. And this is a bold take, but the Pac-12 is in shambles. I think Texas wins it next year.
Yeah, definitely. I can actually completely agree with you. I like that statement. Big 12 definitely with Oklahoma.
Shambles.
Yeah. With Oklahoma looking how they do. Definitely, I mean, I think the next big team besides Texas, maybe Texas Tech a little bit, maybe a little bit of WVU, Baylor. Those three teams, but I don't see anything past that. Oklahoma State didn't look bad at the end of the year. No. I'll give them that.
Good defense.
But yeah, I just don't see how anybody can knock off Texas at the top.
No. But like I said earlier, Texas has a former Bama tight end / wide receiver pass catcher. He was a pass catcher for a former Heisman winning trophy quarterback who is back again this season in college football. What player or players next season do you think can steal the Heisman from underneath Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, or do you think he's going to go back-to-back?
He's on top. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's just playing on a different level than I think any other player. To be honest with you, I was iffy. I was worried he wasn't going to win the Heisman. There was definitely some talent going up against him, but I just don't see anybody else. After a progressive year, he's definitely going to get better. He's definitely going to be able to progress with his offense. He's definitely going to feel a lot more comfortable. I just don't see anybody stopping him.
I got a couple names. C.J. Stroud at Ohio State, the quarterback, obviously. He was in it last year. I expect him to be back in it this year. He lost a lot of weapons, but he still has Smith-Njigba, and now he has Marvin Harrison Jr. I expect him to be just right back in it. I also expect Caleb Williams to insert his name into that conversation. Probably building strong chemistry with a couple of his new receivers. Jerry Rice's son goes to USC. Mario Williams, the guy that transferred to USC from Oklahoma. I expect Caleb Williams to have his name right up there in the Heisman Trophy candidacy this upcoming season.
I like that. I can definitely agree on that. A big guy coming into last season, Spencer Rattler. You'll hear me talk about him. I am so high on Spencer Rattler. I don't know what was on with him. Great guy coming out of high school, number 1 recruit in the country. He played in Arizona, which not the strongest state, but I mean, listen, the guy's phenomenal. There's nothing really else to say about him. I think he could put up some numbers. SEC is going to be tough for him. He's going to adapt to it, but I'd like to see him be successful. He could be that guy that just breaks out and you don't know.
John Martre here has a comment. He said, call it a dark horse, but Will Shipley running back for Clemson.
I like that.
I could see it. They have a terrible quarterback in DJ Uiagalelei, but I could see Will Shipley becoming a workhorse this upcoming season for the Clemson Tigers.
I gotta slow you down there. DJ Uiagalelei, phenomenal. Huge size, great throwing motion. He wasn't ready. He's gonna listen. Clemson did lose some coaches.
You gotta be ready though. You gotta be ready.
Clemson did lose some coaches. But Dabo, gonna have him coming out next year, firing the ball. Full confidence in him. I know Dabo believes in him. I think Clemson fans are still iffy, man. But I like that Will Shipley. I like that connection with DJ Uiagalelei. I think that's going to be a lot better than it was last year, and I think they could be back in the top 10 of college football.
I think so as well. Now, your favorite team, the Alabama Crimson Tide, has turnover every year. It feels like at this point they lose 2 to 3 first-round wide receivers on a very consistent basis every single season. A wide receiver that towards the end of last season into bowl season, into playoff season, he was building steam, looked more confident, and was playing much better. Agiye Hall, he's no longer on the Alabama roster. Does that make you nervous? Or do you think someone else will step up and fill his shoes?
There's no doubt about it in my mind that somebody will fill his shoes, but I think it hurts. There's no doubt about it. It hurts me. It hurts Alabama fans. He was playing amazing in the college football playoff when Jameson Williams went out. I mean, he was just making every catch. He was like there's not much to say about him. He was like James Washington for the Steelers. You know what I mean? When he had to make a catch, he made it. Yeah, when he had to make a catch, he made it. He looked awkward. I'm not gonna lie. Go back and watch the film. His body motions, he was not confident, but he was definitely in a spiral to the confidence, and that does hurt. But Alabama, I mean, what do we got? We got winners. We got champions. There's no doubt about it in my mind that we're just gonna be able to step up, fill his shoes. If we're weak in that point, we'll be strong in another.
Yes. And again, you do have the former Heisman on your team. But the thing about that is, if he doesn't have anybody to throw to, it's going to be tough. But he's also throwing to former 4- and 5-star wide receivers, so they're not. It's not like they're bums. They're very talented players. But Alabama is a finalist. Well, not a technical finalist, but I'd probably say they're in the top 5 of a highly touted recruit coming out of next year's class, and that would be the Manning brothers' nephew, Arch Manning. Where do you believe Arch Manning is going to play his college ball? And I know you're an Alabama fan, so I'm sure you're going to have a little bias in this, but I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Definitely think he's going to play at Alabama, but if not there, obviously I want him to play at Alabama. Great, there's so much talent in Arch Manning. Great ball player, huge arm, great stride. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of Trevor Lawrence in the way he plays, especially with the height, a little lanky. But he's
Sneaky
definitely
athletic. Sneaky
he
athletic.
is. He is.
Yeah,
I watched a
he's-
highlight of him run like an 80-yard run. I mean, just straight bullet down the field. Nobody could catch him.
And was trucking people. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Don't
But
forget.
if not Alabama, man, I could definitely see Tennessee.
Falling in
you
his uncle's footsteps.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Tennessee's definitely up there. But I just don't see how he could pass up on going to a team like Alabama, especially being the recruit he is, knowing that he could definitely do some great things.
John here said one of the places that I think he could end up is the place that John here said, Ole Miss.
Completely agree with that one too.
Because that is also
family,
where
man.
It's family. That's where Eli played. That's where his grandfather Arch played. But I do think he will be in the SEC because it's different down here, because it really is different in the SEC. Now, you got to also look at who the coach is. I don't think that the Mannings are in love with certain coaches. I don't know how they feel about Lane Kiffin. But Lane Kiffin, who could have left Ole Miss this year, last year, he could have any job in the country really if he wanted it. He's for some reason staying at Ole Miss, and I'd assume he thinks he has a shot at Arch Manning. I could see Alabama because it's very interesting. Eli Manning has a show on ESPN Plus called Peyton's Places, carbon copy of Peyton Manning's show, Peyton's Places, although Eli's is about the historic places and historic people in college football. And it almost feels like he's doing this show, taking tours, learning about these coaches to kind of help Arch in his decision, possibly, on where he might pick college ball. He recently just had a USC episode. One of his first episodes ever was with Nick Saban. I expect him to play in the SEC, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him land at a place outside of the SEC that has a well-renowned coach like Dabo Swinney or Lincoln Riley or maybe even Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. but I do expect him to remain in the SEC, and I personally could see him going to Ole Miss, Alabama, or joining Texas with Steve Sarkisian in the Big 12 as they transition into the SEC, just because Sark he will get your quarterback NFL ready for the next level.
Yeah, I mean I like that. There's no doubt about it. You got to look at these top name coaches. But the thing is, Alabama. I hope he looks into it. Actually, I hope he doesn't look into it. But I mean, I want him to come there. But right now, our 2023 class is a little weak. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well,
but we'll step it up.
It's slow. It's slow recruiting season. It's Alabama. They'll do just fine. But the thing about that is, if he comes there, I think he would start as a true freshman. So you would go from Tua Tagovailoa, well, technically Jalen Hurts to Tua to Mac Jones to Bryce Young, who's also going to be a first-round draft pick, then to Arch Manning. What people always talk about Bama quarterbacks being like bad at the next level. Mac's good, Jalen's good, Tua's good, Bryce is going to be good, and Arch is. I'm going to assume he's coming from the Manning family. He's going to be a franchise guy for somebody. So that would be a run of quarterbacks that I don't think any other team in college football could take pride in and say, I'm more proud of that, because that is something that would just be a wild run of quarterbacks that you would have as a Bama fan. It's not fair, but y'all are the most winning school, the biggest school, and you're going to continue to be successful until Nick Saban's no longer there. Which brings me to my next point. They're obviously going to probably be in the college football playoffs this upcoming season. What is your way too early picks for teams in the college football playoffs next season?
Well, it's obviously Alabama. Alabama's going to be there. There's no doubt about it. Georgia's back up there. There's no doubt about it. I got Texas, and I got Ohio State.
Texas.
That's a bold move. Big 12, though, it's in shambles, man.
Texas.
They're going to give the nod to him. They're definitely going to give the nod to him. There's no doubt about it. I just don't see how anybody can surpass them. So it has to be, they're going to win the Big 12. You're going to have Ohio State coming out of the Big 10. It's 100%. That's my lock-in, and we'll come back to this video, and I guarantee you I'm completely right.
Okay. Mine's pretty similar. John's bringing up my point here. Watch out for USC. I have USC in it for the next upcoming season. I also have Alabama. I also have Georgia. But I don't have Ohio State.
Well, I mean, that's just where you're wrong.
I got Clemson.
I'm going to have to argue
Clemson's
with you,
going to push their way back in. Ohio State's going to not make it.
Nah. I just don't see how that could happen. This is just my personal opinion. USC, they're not going to be able to do it. They're not going to turn around in 1 year. Yes, Lincoln Riley, amazing coach. They're not turning around in 1 year. It's going to take a process. They might go 10-2. I'm not saying, but that's not making it. Pac-12 teams, they've shown in the past they are garbage in the college football playoff. Not to mention the college football playoff.
This is a different Pac-12 team. This is a Lincoln Riley Pac-12 team. They're going to dominate the Pac-12.
Okay, love Lincoln Riley. Man, congratulations. What'd you win at Oklahoma?
Got a point.
Besides Heisman's for your quarterback?
Got a point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't see how they can do it. I just don't see it.
Well, wrapping it up here, interested to find out one more football question, and then we're going to go to the Masters. And I know you don't necessarily love golf, but I need to know your top 5 quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. Who are they?
Well, I can list them. I'm going to go 1 to 5. Personally, I got Malik Willis at number 1. I got this. You're about to sound. You're gonna look at me like, you okay? But I got Matt Corral 2. Then I got Kenny Pickett at 3.
Disrespectful to my guy Kenny.
I think a sleeper guy who's sitting outside of the top 5 that I just want to throw in there right now, Bailey Zappi.
Zappi from Western Kentucky is talented.
Yes, amazing quarterback. Desmond Ridder, number 4.
That would be 5.
No. I'm not putting Zappi in.
Zappi's not in your top 5. You just wanted to shout out Zappi.
I just want to throw it out there.
Shout out Zappi.
Desmond Ridder definitely at 4, and then I probably got Carson Strong, number 5.
Interesting. Interesting. See, I'm not as high on Malik Willis like others are. Not as high on Malik Willis. I have Kenny Pickett, obviously, at number one. And anybody that knows me knows I'm a Pitt guy. I'm a Kenny Pickett guy. After that, I will then go Matt Corral. I think if Matt Corral never gets hurt, Matt Corral's probably the number one in this class. But it's just kind of the injury concern is a concern for me. I think Carson Strong doesn't even touch my top five because I'm concerned. People were concerned about Kenny Pickett's hand size. I don't necessarily know what the measurements were, but from pictures I've seen, it doesn't look like Carson necessarily has the biggest hands either. So he's not in my top five. So I have Pickett. Who did I say? Was the second guy?
Yep. Matt Corral.
Oh, Matt Corral. My bad. My brain just like completely went awry there. But Pickett, Matt Corral. Then I have Malik Willis at 3, just because of his mobility, everything like that. I don't know why this player is getting disrespected. He didn't really have a lot of weapons last year, and like it definitely showed because most of his weapons went to the league last year. But Sam Howell he's a first round quarterback in this draft. I don't think Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, or Matt Corral will be there when the Steelers picked. Don't be shocked if the Pittsburgh Steelers draft Sam Howell at 20 if they take a quarterback in the first round. Kevin Colbert, the GM, is going to want to leave a legacy for the Steelers, and he's going to want to possibly try to find the successor for Big Ben Roethlisberger. I would not be shocked to see it be Sam Howell, and I wouldn't be mad about it either. But at number 5, I then have Desmond Ridder because of his mobility and his arm strength. I think Desmond Ridder I think this is a weaker quarterback class for sure. Desmond Ridder, you could swap out Howell, Ridder, and Willis, in my opinion, depending upon what you're necessarily looking for. But the top 2, in my mind, is definitely Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett in whatever order you'd like to put them.
I can definitely agree with that. Steelers, though, I mean, if they were smart, they want to leave some type of legacy. You wait for Bryce Young. There's no doubt about it. You get an offensive lineman here. You just throw. I don't know why we signed to a 2-year deal. Mitch Trubisky, we're gonna throw him away after this year, anyways. But
the MVP, Mitch Trubisky, is going to lead us to 10 or 11 wins and a playoff berth. I wish people would stop disrespecting Mitch Trubisky.
Listen, I'm not saying he's a bad ball player, but he's no Bryce Young. I'm just saying.
We had never seen Bryce Young at the NFL level.
You'll be blown away.
We saw Mitch Trubisky at the NFL level in Matt Nagy's system, which isn't a great system because he clearly, look what he did to Justin. Look what he did to Justin Fields this past season. Terrible.
I think Justin Fields was a bum anyways, but.
Well, that's your opinion. I think Justin Fields could possibly be a franchise guy. So.
Yeah, okay.
But moving on here, the last question I have for you. It's the biggest sporting event of this weekend, the Masters. Tiger Woods said that he has not played golf since his car accident last year. Well, at least in a competitive tournament or match of any kind. And Tiger Woods now is back in the Masters lineup this weekend at Augusta. Do you think that Tiger Woods is going to win another green jacket this weekend at the Masters?
Yeah, absolutely not. I put Tiger Woods' son out there, and I think he'd do better.
It's a pretty hot take. That's a pretty hot take.
Nah, obviously I'm not being 100% serious. That's a little sarcastic, but Tiger Woods, he's crippled, man. He's old. I just don't see him doing it. We've seen guys older, but I just don't see how he's going to be able to pull off a win, especially with some of this young talent in golf. I just don't see it.
I personally do believe that he has a high chance of winning it because, again, he's Tiger Woods. He wouldn't play in this tournament, especially the one of this caliber and this big, if he didn't think he was going to be able to win it. I don't know if he will because it is supposed to be cold on Friday and Saturday, and he has said multiple times in the past that his back does not do well in the colder conditions. So that is a concern for me. But he has worked extremely hard on a comeback, and I would love to see him win a green jacket and break golf records, just shatter, just blow the golf world away. He had sent Twitter in a whirl. I love watching Tiger Woods. I'm excited for this weekend. And yeah, that's all we got today. So JT, I really appreciate you coming on, bro.
And no problem. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Anytime you want to come on, just let me know.
Gotcha.
All right, bro. I'll see you later.
See you.
All right, everybody. That was it. That was Tap In. Hope you enjoyed this episode. But yeah, we'll be live again on Friday. I haven't locked in my guests yet, but just a little teaser. He's a Browns fan if he does come on. So I'm excited to have him on. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Peace. I'll see you guys later.